Welcome to Rooted in Liberty, the podcast where small town stories meet unbelievable truths. Here, we sit back, relax, and share the kind of tales you just can't make up. These are the true, yet extraordinary moments from our own lives. Stories that could only happen in a place like Liberty, Kentucky.
All right, welcome back to Rooted in Liberty podcast. As always, I'm the lovely Josh.
I'm Chris.
The lovely Chris, and we don't have anybody today because it's hard to get people to want to come do this stuff.
They're all talked till they get the phone call.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple guys I could probably call them up and say, hey, but you know, it's
afternoon time.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 o'clock and we just didn't plan it out that good. But hey, maybe we'll get somebody next week, but that's okay.
They watch it for you.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they do or not.
Yeah.
I haven't had any. Well, I've had a few people this week say, hey, something about the podcast. Yeah. Hey, this, hey, that.
Yeah, last week didn't work out real well.
No,
we're back to busy soccer season for us, our family.
Yeah.
And they got games, so Zachary got a game later on the night, and away game Tuesday, and game early Thursday, and church Wednesday. I just knew it'd be.
Yep.
So I texted them yesterday and said, if you want to record, it's got to be.
You got to be today.
You got to be today.
And that's fine. It all worked out.
But
real quick.
Yeah.
Shelter Insurance.
Shelter.
Liberty, Kentucky. Our little buddy Kevin Atwood. Home, life, auto insurance. Go over there, check him out. He'll fix you up with whatever you need. 606-787-8770. And then while you're there, if you book it right, so you could have Brent in the back detailing your car while Kevin's in there selling you some insurance. So try to work it out. But he does detail and tint in the back there. Same phone number, 787-8770. Check them out.
Tell them you found them at Rooted in Liberty.
Rooted in Liberty podcast. And now they'll get I don't know about Brent, but Kevin, he'll get a chuckle and he'll want to tell you how much he loves us and how we brighten his day and yada, yada, yada. But we love him. We love you, Kevin.
He was at church Sunday, and I don't know if you noticed outside after we got done, it was hailing out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for him to start handing out business cards. And
I wonder, he may not even thought of that.
Oh,
maybe he needs to do that next time.
You're right. No,
but we like old Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, stories. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about tobacco.
All right.
What we call around here tobacco for the proper folks and the city folks.
Right.
Well, I grew up raising tobacco and hated it. I mean, hated it.
Do you miss it now?
I do. I miss parts of it.
So it's like a love-hate relationship?
Yeah. Well, growing up, we had to do it for Dad. We didn't get paid anything.
Right.
That was our
love.
Dad,
free labor.
Yeah, free labor. Dad, done it for pay some bills and for Christmas money. And you had good years, you had bad years. But as a kid, absolutely hated it because you were forced to do it. But now we'd go work for other people.
Yeah.
Get paid a little money, a little $10, $20 here, and loved it. Didn't mind a bit. And then people tell Mom and Dad, "Oh, you Josh Tanner, them
hard,
best workers we've ever had." And they're like,
"It's like what? Why
won't they do it here?"
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't nothing against you, Dad. It was just
you didn't pay.
It was forced.
That's the free labor.
Yeah. But I'm gonna tell a different kind of story, but to roll into tobacco. And, I'm a tree guy. I've got a tree service. My sign, it fell down. It's over here somewhere. But
they can still kind of see it through the crack there.
Yeah. Edwards Tree, Liberty, Kentucky, 706-7256. My grandpa worked for my mom's dad. He worked for Asplin Tree Experts for 30 years. And this was back years ago whenever he started out as a climber or a ground guy, then went into a climber, and this was years ago. And I think they might have had a bucket truck or two, but every now and then, a lot of stuff was just climbing. And then he worked his way up to a foreman and a climber/foreman. And this was the old days to where if he needed a crew of 2 guys,
just be him and another guy.
Well, it wasn't so much corporate's job to find him 2 guys. He would find 2 guys and pay them out of pocket and log their hours and then send in a whatever, a spreadsheet or whatever at the end of the month, and their company would reimburse him. If you quit, then he would have to find somebody else to help him that week, you know.
Gotcha.
So it was the old days, the good old days, as they say.
Good old days.
But he worked.
OSHA.
Yeah, he worked at Ashland for about 30 years, and he ended up getting hurt. He fell out of a tree and messed him up pretty bad. And I don't know all the details. I was young at the time. But that ain't part of the story. Whenever I was a kid, of course, raised tobacco. He raised tobacco, and I have it's not a fond memory, but it's a memory of one of my earliest memories of him. And I don't know how old I was, but they were hanging tobacco, and we'll get to that. We were hanging tobacco in the barn for it to dry, and it was his tobacco, his barn, his tractor, his wagon, and he had 4 or 5 guys working for him, and they were up in the barn hanging, and he couldn't at the time for health reasons or whatever. And he, as you hang, you got to pull the wagon up a little bit because you fill this slot, then you got to pull up to fill the next slot and so forth. And he had a little Massey Ferguson 245 tractor. He still got it. And he was going to pull the tractor up so that they could keep hanging. And that tractor wouldn't start at the key. You had to start it off of the solenoid or the starter with a screwdriver or something like that. And it would start in gear, which isn't a good thing on anything. So you couldn't reach the starter and whatnot from the seat. You had to stand between the wheels of the tractor. And if you took it out of gear, you're fine. Well, he didn't. He just started it, and it took off, kind of jumped, and it hit against him and knocked him down, and it rolled over him. It come up one leg. I don't remember which side, but it come up one leg, and it pretty much crushed him from his ankle to his ribs on that one side. And just from, if you can picture what's happening here, you know, the back tire of the tractor's rolling up him, and if he'd have laid still, it would have rolled over his head and killed him. But he managed to grab a hold of the brake pedals on the tractor and pull himself up and to the side, and then it was coming up and rolling off. So it messed him up. I wasn't there for it, but I remember Mom getting the phone call, we running down there. Nobody had showed up yet. The ambulance, EMS hadn't showed up yet. I remember they parked, like all the volunteers and the people around who had vehicles in the pasture field there. They parked their trucks in a circle with the headlights pointing toward each other. And they landed the helicopter there.
Oh, they landed the helicopter?
Yeah. They landed the helicopter there in the field, and they flew him out. It was dark by the time. I remember going over there, and, you know, we were probably told to stay away, and we run in there anyways.
Right.
And he was laying there. I remember them cutting his pants off of him with a pair of scissors. The EMS did. They loaded him on a stretcher, packed him out into the field there. Helicopter landed, took off. And still, you know, he's 70-some years old, and to this day, he's still dealing with that. He can't hardly walk. And a lot of that may be from injuries sustained earlier in life. There's other instances he had. But that's going to get us started on tobacco. That's one of the worst memories I have of tobacco-related stories.
Yeah. I guess, have you seen anybody fall off up there?
Fall out of a barn?
Yeah.
No, I've heard of it. I've done a little bit. I've done it a little, not like fall from 2 or 3 stories up, but a lot of times them old tier rails in a barn, some of them wouldn't be nailed. They'd just be a little board laid up there, and you hang your tobacco on it. And I can remember be up in the barn, and either we were playing or we were hanging tobacco, and we'd come down, and that last tier rail was, I don't know, 10, 12 foot off the ground.
All right.
And you grab it and you kind of swing and drop your feet and just swing out, you know, and feel all big and cool and whatnot. And the board move whenever you get about vertical or horizontal board, and it come off and you land flat on your back and it knocked the breath out of you. And I ain't had that happen in a long time. The knocking your breath out.
Yeah.
Have you've been there?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like you're dying. You can't catch your breath.
Now, if we did that now, we'd be called.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be able to get up. I'd tell them to call the coroner.
He'd be like Home Alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Marv.
Yeah.
Old Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name on there, but
Harry
and Joe. No,
and Marv.
Harry and Marv.
Yeah.
Which one was Harry?
Harry was the one looked like you. No, Harry was
Harry
Joe.
was a short.
Yeah.
Harry was Joe Pesci.
Yeah,
Marv
Marv.
was the tall one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those good movies.
Yeah.
The first two are good.
Yeah, they got
Third and the fourth.
They ruined it.
Yeah, they did too many.
Yeah. But anyway, so tobacco.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we raised tobacco until I was probably 16 years old, 15, 16, and
Well, give us I guess background. I mean, people didn't know that was like the crop, right?
that was a cash crop. Yeah, tobacco grows well in Kentucky due to climate and rainfall and whatever else. And there was going to be somebody on here disagree with something I say, but that's okay because
right.
it's been 15 years since I've messed with any tobacco.
All right.
When I was a kid and we started, you had tobacco beds. So you would go and you prep the ground, an area where you were going to raise plants, right?
Okay.
Small plants. And you'd sow that area. And I remember that they had these little cans of some kind of chemical. You'd set them in there and then you put your canvas over it and kind of a greenhouse effect.
Okay.
You'd sow it and plants would come up. Once they got so big, then you would go in there and you'd pull them all up. You'd load them into your tobacco setter. And you would set them one row at a time, and that to plant one row took 2 people,
All right.
3 people really. You had to have got some out on a tractor, pulling a tobacco setter, and you set on this thing, and you had your box with all your plants in it, and you just grab a handful of them, and these fingers, they kind of look something like that. They was on a chain drive, and that when he let the tobacco setter down in good fresh tilled soil, it would cut a groove out, right? So just like if you were to cut a groove with a hole, right? So it would cut a groove, and this chain with these long fingers would come around. There'd be one every 5 seconds, seemed like. And you and the next person used to take turns laying the plant with the root sticking out in that finger, and once it got it, it would kind of grab onto it,
Yeah.
take it down, stick it in the ground,
And then
open back up, and he'd come right back around. But you had a closing wheel down at your feet, and it would tuck that dirt in around that plant. Now, if you missed one, then you'd see it. Somebody'd have to get off or peg that, take a stick, stick it in the ground, plant it pretty much. I'm losing my thoughts.
Oh, there you go.
So, anyways, you start with your planting your bed. Later on, we went to float beds to where you had these styrofoam trays that had slots in them, and you seeded and you'd put dirt and you put your seeds in there, and then you had these pretty much water beds with no cover on them. You line your float beds in there, fill them up with water, and they would grow in that. And then you'd pull your plants out of that once you're ready to plant in the field.
How long does process take?
No, it's all year. As far as not that's something that's I'm gonna tell you wrong, and somebody's gonna disagree, is the length of time it takes from go to seed to sprout. I don't know. I don't remember. But tobacco is a year-long process. Whereas you take like corn. If it's 100-day corn, then that means it's time you plant it in the ground, in 100 days it's ready to harvest. So I know you got field prep and whatnot.
Right.
But tobacco was a spring to late winter type job because
Now you're hanging all that in the wintertime.
yeah. Let's see. Planting, yeah. So we never had much more than, 10, 15 acres. I think 15 acres was the most we ever had. And once you plant it and you set on the tobacco setter, and I can remember Aunt Joyce helping. They raised tobacco too. Everybody kind of helped everybody else. Once we got done with ours, if Uncle Gerald still had an acre or two to plant, we'd help them, or vice versa, or people around. Everybody kind of helped because you got to get it in the ground for it to make anything.
Yeah.
So you got to help everybody out. But we plant it, set it, and then you come time to hoe it out.
Okay.
And you know what I mean, just like in a garden.
Right.
Well, you got plants growing up, weeds coming up beside of them, and you got to get out there and chop them weeds out with an old gooseneck hoe.
Okay.
And I hated it. We broke more hoes because I was trying to force it and do it hard.
Like ground's hard.
Yeah, but just being a kid and just doing something the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'd break a hoe or something like that, and then Dad either had to put a new handle in it or go buy a new hoe. Or we got in a lot of trouble trying to hoe out tobacco.
Yeah.
Side dressing, once the tobacco got up so tall, then you went through there with the tractor and the side dresser, and your side dressing pretty much just means you're dropping fertilizer onto the side of the plant there so that it can soak in. Side dress with nitrogen or whatever. Once the plant got so tall, you would go in there and top it. So now you're looking at plants that are, head high or better, 5-6 foot tall, and you want to go in there and you want to remove, because they'll just keep growing. You want to go in there and remove that bud, the flowering part of the plant. You want to remove that. Some plants that are shorter will just be a little bud that you got to pluck out. Taller plants will already be bloomed with a flower, and you want to cut all that off, because if you don't, it'll just keep growing. And you want to stop the growth. That way it begins to die. You can cut it, hang it, and harvest those leaves. Topping, I'll just bounce back and forth. We had different people do topping different ways. A row of tobacco in your field, you may, however wide it is, you'll have a row every, I don't know, foot, no, that's more than a foot, every 2 foot, 30 inches, something like that, you'll have a row. Enough room you can walk down, but the leaves are going to touch you as you walk down the side of it.
Yeah.
And I can remember I always like to top with my hands. I just use my fingers, and break it off. Some people used a pair of snips. Some people used a knife. They'd use a knife, like cutting an apple or something. Some people done one row at a time. I always did 2. You walk down just like this, topping each plant as you go. But we had my Dad could tell it better, but we had a family. There was 2 men and a woman. So I'm guessing it was a man, wife, and one of them's brother. They helped us in tobacco for a few years, off and on, and they'd help do different things, topping and cutting and housing. And one year, I can't remember exactly, they got in a fight. They got in an argument. They showed up to work in a bad mood. I don't know what it was. They got in an argument, and they're out there running around with knives in the middle of the field, and they could kill each other, I guess, if they wanted to.
Right.
So I think Dad fired them or let them go, told them not to come back, didn't call them back, whatever. They didn't do anything in front of us.
Right.
But so you top it, then you've got to drop sticks, because cutting time's coming.
Okay.
So you've seen a tobacco stick. You know what a tobacco stick is. You would, we'd have to load them. We'd have to take a big wagon, and we'd load all Dad's tobacco sticks on this wagon, and then we'd take the wagon to the field. And some people done it different. Like I've seen people take a 5-gallon bucket and they'll fill it full of sticks, and they'll take off walking, and they'll drop them. Now you drop them end to end. You want them touching end to end. And you go all the way down. You go till you run out, you go back and get another bucket full. I done it with my arm. I done it like this. I'd take as many as I could and put in my arm right there, and then you just walk and dropping them end to end till you run out, and then you kind of stick a stick in the ground, head back, get another bundle. I mean,
back.
Yeah, just back and forth.
So I think you did a lot of walking.
You did a lot of walking.
You got to be in shape to do this.
Yeah, or a young kid that shape didn't matter. You were going to be forced to do it whether you wanted to or not.
Right.
So dropping sticks, which wasn't horrible. Some people used a high boy,
Okay.
a piece of equipment that was tall and it could ride above the plants and in the middle of the rows without tearing anything up, and you drop your sticks off from there.
Oh.
We never had one of those.
That's fancy farming.
Yeah. The cutting tobacco comes around. When the tobacco starts to turn yellow,
Yeah.
you got to cut it. And my first time ever cutting tobacco, I can remember, you've got your stick, you take your stick and you stick it in the ground at an angle, kind of, let's say, a 45-degree angle. And then you with one hand, you have a spear, what they call a spear, and it's a cylindrical metal tube with a point on the end. I mean, you could stab yourself with it or kill somebody with it.
Yeah.
You stick it on the end of the stick, and then with one hand, you pull kind of the stalk back that you're going to cut. You got a tobacco knife in this hand. You cut and then take that and spear it on that tobacco stick. You do 5 or 6, and then you're done. You grab another stick, and you go on.
Okay.
My first time ever cutting tobacco, I laid my hand wide open with that tobacco knife.
Yeah.
How I did it, I don't know. But
All right. Blood everywhere.
blood, yeah. I didn't get to cut much tobacco because we were normally in school during that time, and we were either too young to be productive,
Right.
or
Hurt yourself.
or hurt herself, or so that.
Is a tobacco knife like a big machete knife?
So, well, I wish I had one to show you. They really I don't know if anybody ever. I'm sure they produced tobacco knives like commercially, but most everyone I ever seen looks homemade.
Oh, really?
And it's just a stick, wooden stick, about yay long, and it's got they take a square piece of steel.
It's like a butcher kind of.
Look like a beef or a skinny cleaver, if you can imagine that. You got you take the blade part of a cleaver off,
Yeah.
and you put it on a piece of wood, and it wasn't real thick because tobacco stalks were fairly soft. You didn't need a thick blade to cut through them.
Okay.
Well, the once upon a time, do you want to read a sponsor before I go any farther?
No, you're fine. Or what you got left?
I want you to read a sponsor before I go
All
any
right.
farther.
All right. Vintage honey. So what we got here? We got what flavor you got there? Peach.
Peach.
Okay, lovely, right? I picked up this apple blossom today, green apple and peach. Well, this one's fantastic. And so it says, if you haven't tried vintage honey small batch lemonade yet, you're seriously missing out. Made right here in Liberty, Kentucky. Every bottle is handcrafted with love, bursting with flavor and hometown goodness. You can find here in Liberty here in several spots here. Save a Lot, where I got these today. They had tons of different flavors in there. Probably about 20 different flavors. The Save a Lot, and go down to Goode's Creamery and the Bread of Life. Go down to Russell Springs there, the fruit market, and Save a Lot, and the Windsor store there in Windsor, right? Yep. So go check out Vintage Honey. Find her on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and she does custom bottles, and you can get them for your church in gallon jugs and all that fun stuff. So Vintage Honey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cutting tobacco.
Okay.
Dad would hire, of course, cutting tobacco was the process that a lot of people didn't like to do, but it had to be done. And, Dad might have to take off work to get it knocked out because you've got a certain amount of time to get it.
So once you cut it, you run a time crunch.
You don't want it to rain on cut tobacco, is what I was always told. If it ever rained on cut tobacco in the field and mud gets on the leaves, it won't come off.
Really?
So it ruins that part of that leaf.
So it's like some kind of sticky chemical relaxant.
I don't know. It just which the leaves are
You
thinner
never
anyway.
found out.
No. But you could take, Dad would hire, 4 or 5 people to go out there and cut a patch of tobacco. And I can remember getting up early in the morning, going down there and you want to start early because it's summertime. It's hot. And you're out in the middle of a field, there ain't no shade, and you got to cut.
Yeah.
And you stay bent over most of the time. And there were some boys, they could cut faster than any machine ever thought about cutting. They could just, manpower was just better. We never had a machine. They do make a machine for, it's like you drive it. Somebody drives it and it cuts and picks it up and stacks it in something and sets it on the ground. Once upon a time, they come out with one of them machines. We didn't. So we went to the farm machinery show and saw one of the machines. And somebody said that here in the county one time, so-and-so had one of those machines, and these 2 guys, 2 brothers or whatever, said, well, we can beat that thing.
Gotcha.
And they raced, and they won. The guys won.
Yeah.
And the guy sold the piece of equipment or something.
Right.
It was cheaper to hire.
But if you didn't have those people, though.
True. But it's cheaper to find a tobacco cutter than it was to pay $300,000 for a machine.
Right.
So Dad hired some guys one time, and there was an old guy that lived right down below. You know where they're building that cabin down below Mom and Dad? Well, right there used to be an old house, then it burnt. But a man named Curtis Atwood lived there. Excuse me. Curtis was an alcoholic.
Okay.
Like legally an alcoholic. He received a check once a month to go buy his alcohol with because he was whatever. He had to have it to survive, whatever you call it. So I can remember he would come. He always liked to cut tobacco and make a little extra money. There was 2 or 3 other guys that showed up, every year that liked to cut and make a little more extra money. And the way you would pay them, you can get paid by the hour. You got paid by production pretty much.
How fast you got it cut and hung?
The more you didn't worry about hanging it. The more you got cut, the more money you made. You would be paid per stick. So you got them tobacco sticks we dropped.
Yeah.
For every one that you fill up, you would get paid. I think it was a nickel, is it a nickel or a dime? Okay. I don't think it was 15 cents. It could have been.
All right.
But you do.
How many sticks were out there? You think?
Oh, there's thousands.
Oh, really?
Not thousands per row, but per field, per patch. You're looking at hundreds or thousands, whatever. I don't know for sure, but you take one row. Of course, you're cutting 2 rows. You're in a row, but you're cutting on each side of you, and there may be 100 sticks in that row. Well, 100 sticks times a nickel,
right,
is
a lot of nickels.
It's 100 nickels. I don't know, $5. Is it more than $5? $50?
I don't
know. I can't do math. Simple math is I'm not good at. What's 100 times 0.5?
That's all I'm gonna do.
No, 100 times 0.05.
Yeah. $5.
Okay, you get $5 at the end of that run. What's 15 cents times 100? Be $15.
Maybe
it's 15 cents a stick. I don't know. But anyways, guys would come and make, they'd make money. I talked to a guy, Tony McFarland, T-Bird that they call him.
T-Bird.
I cut some trees for him the other day. We were talking about tobacco, and he said, I'd work 3rd shift at work and get off at the wee morning hours.
All day.
And on his way home, he'd stop and cut tobacco for a few hours and then go home and go to sleep. Right. A lot of guys enjoyed it. Guys that were good at it enjoyed it. Guys that didn't hated it.
All right, because
I hated it because I wasn't very good at it. I wasn't fast. But anyways, back to Curtis Atwood. Dad, we had a farm right over here on Gum Lake. Dad had hired 3 or 4 guys to help cut. Curtis was there. A couple other guys. Some guy rode a horse.
Okay.
Because he lived nearby. And another guy had a brand new truck, Chevrolet, whatever truck. And of course, hot, left the windows down. Well, the guy on the horse tied his horse to the mirror of that guy's window, or the mirror of that guy's truck. And he left the windows down. The horse ended up eating the
like bench
seat cushions or something off of it, or broke a mirror, but it ended up its head got inside and it made a mess inside the truck. Long story short, they got to smelling something. Come lunchtime, and Dad would always get lunch meat or something, bring to them. They'd stop and eat, go back to work. Well, they got out there and got smelling something, and Curtis had messed himself out in that tobacco patch. Well, he didn't have a ride. Somebody had to take him home.
Right.
So-and-so, whoever it was, took him over and put him in that guy's brand new truck.
Oh, no.
With his pants a mess, I reckon.
That's like a tater.
Yeah. and they, there was, people got mad over it. Whoever got mad, so-and-so he was mad. I got the guy with the horse. The guy with the horse was mad about this, and everybody was mad, but it was a bad day.
Yeah.
Once you cut it, you got to load it on a wagon. You haul it to the barn, you house it or hang it.
Okay.
And that normally takes, depending on how many tier rows you got 1 on the wagon, 1 or 2 on the wagon, and let's just say 1, then 1, 2, 3. You take 4 or 5 guys to hang a wagon.
All right.
And
it's an all day thing.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, well, till you had it all out of the field. You wanted, you didn't want to, you don't want to leave it the field. You're ready, you got to get it up and get it in the barn. And I can remember as a kid, I was scared to death of heights. And now I go up in a bucket truck and climb trees. I don't know, I got over it, I guess. But as a kid, I part of it, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to have to. I thought, well, if I can say I'm scared, then I don't have to do it and I can go do something else. And part of it was Dad saying, no, you're going to get up in the barn.
Right.
And I remember being up there and hugging them poles and just scared to death and had to reach in there and hang a little bit. And I told you about my cousin Jasper.
Yeah.
Like I told it on the show here, so I won't tell it again.
About him climbing real good and stuff.
Yeah, and he would sit on my shoulders and step on my fingers and stuff like that. Never fell out of the barn, accidentally while hanging. So we always had a good time hanging. As long as you had good conversation going. I mean, it's hot, but as long as you got people talking and having. But one thing you don't want to do is you're standing up in that barn is you don't look down when the wagon moves.
It freaks you out.
It makes you think like vertigo. It makes you think the barn's moving.
It's kind of like one of those when you're parked by a car.
Yeah.
And you're looking and you just feel, you see the car beside you move.
And you think you're moving.
Yeah.
And you start pounding that brake pedal. So the backer hangs for a while. When it dries out and it comes into case, as they call it, it's time to, the leaves turn all brown and kind of shrivel up. It's time to book it down. So you just do the reverse process. You go up and you drop it all back down on the ground. You pull the tobacco sticks out and you stack them up. You take your bundle of stalk that you've got with leaves on it and you put them on a pile and you cover them with plastic to keep moisture off of them. And then you're ready to start stripping.
All right.
You go into a room. There'll be 3 or 4 people there. They just kind of do an assembly line. The first guy takes the trash, the lower trashy looking leaves off, gives that stalk to the next guy. He takes off the lugs. There's normally 3 or 4 cases. I think cases ain't the right word. I can't think of the right word. But anyways, you get your trash leaves, your lugs, and your tips. We always did 3. I can't think of a word I want to use. Classifications of leaves. And then you took that stalk, empty stalk, and you threw it on a pile. And those we would spread back out in the fields, and they would rot away.
But for a kind of nutrition.
Nutrient, yeah, fertilizer is what it is. You're putting all that nutrients back into the ground. And you strip them. When you strip, you get a handful of leaves. You put them in a box, and you mash it tight, and you bale it, and you make a bale out of it, and then you sell the bale of tobacco, and it brings whatever, and you got to have the right moisture content and all that stuff. There was an old guy, Bill Rice. He was from Marion County.
Okay.
Bill he was an old man. He was in his 60s. Sorry, y'all in your 60s. Y'all,
right.
You're 30 years older than me. I'll be 32 next month. Happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a birthday celebration.
We'll get you a cake. We'll have your
presents.
Your baker presents. You'll mail your presents for your birthday.
Mail me a present. We'll have what?
We'll have our baker make you something special.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that,
I want you to
Proverbs 31 Bakery. Let me get to the info here. Sammy Taylor out here on 49. They do made-to-order bakery. That ain't right. Made-to-order. It's a made-to-order bakery specializing in sourdough, fried apple pies. I got to get some of them fried apple pies because I absolutely love them. Not had hers. That's what I'm saying. Cookies, cupcakes, cinnamon rolls, all homemade, dye-free. She'll do orders as small as a half a dozen all the way up to birthdays, weddings, etc. 606-706-5894. Sorry, 706-5894. And she's on Facebook.
Yeah, we shared her page, so go find us on Facebook and
find us. You'll find her,
and
you'll find love from sugary goodness.
Yeah.
Check her out.
We're gonna be diabetic between the honey and the vintage honey and the cookies and.
Or speak for yourself. I'm not going to be. You might be, but I'm not.
All right.
I don't want to speak that into existence.
But yeah, you want to send Josh a birthday present, just send it to the church and I'll get it to you.
Sorry, I had to send that text. My neighbor,
Yeah.
I need to go talk to her here in a minute. Check her out, Proverbs 31 Baker.
Yep.
So, do you have any tobacco-related stories?
No, because we grew it so much up in Bullitt County.
Yeah, your all's tobacco had a different name.
Yeah.
Mary Jane.
Right.
No.
We didn't grow it.
They grew tobacco in Louisville, though.
Yeah.
Had to. Probably not in the city, but
All right. This was probably out there in Bullitt County.
I'd say so.
There's, the South Bullitt County was so diverse. The north part was big city living, and then the south part is country farmers.
Yeah.
So.
And you grew up as?
I was kind of the city folks.
Yeah, we know.
Right.
You still are. Go ahead.
How much you think how many barn, would just fill up one barn, or would you have several
We had
barns?
3 at the max at the time. Dad only owned one barn. There was one barn on the property that we leased, and then he leased another barn right down the road here on Chicken Gizzard. I remember that barn, the one he leased, the first rail that you hang the back on was 12 foot off the ground. You could park a semi inside of that barn and not touch the tier rails. So we hung the barn full, and then, you got all that empty space underneath. You got 12 feet. That's enough room for 2 more runs of tobacco. So we went in there and built tier rails. You already got your post in the ground. You just tie stringers to them and, nail you some boards up, and you're good to go. And I remember one year we did that, and we hung it full. And it was like a day or 2 later, come back, and it was all on the ground. Those new rails we built collapsed, and all that tobacco was on the ground and all wadded up. And guess what you got to do? I can remember standing there and just knowing Dad's going to say, all right, get after it. Start pulling sticks and getting it cleaned out so we can rebuild it and hang it all back up. I mean, it was going to be a horrible job. I can remember doing it.
All right. Nightmare.
There was a guy up on 49 on Carsasser Road. Joe Cox had an old barn. It wasn't his barn. He had at least the whole barn fell down.
Really?
It was an old barn, and the whole barn collapsed with the tobacco in it. And
I guess that stuff gets heavier, right?
It does. It's heavier when you first put it in there. Then, of course, it dries out. And
Right.
It becomes lighter. But that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. You imagine all that work.
Oh, it'd be horrible.
And I mean, that's people's livelihood.
Yep, that's why you got to get in there and get it done.
I mean, I know it's probably people insure their tobacco.
Well, they probably some. I don't know if Mom and Dad ever did. You got crop insurance. When I worked for Chris Fair on that grain farm, we and other people, you would insure your crops due to drought or flood or whatever.
Right.
I don't know how tobacco insurance works.
Right. Maybe ask Kevin.
I doubt he knows anything about tobacco insurance.
But if you have any insurance questions, go see our guy Kevin. You can ask him. All right.
Yeah. Why are we talking about him? Yeah, we already talked about him.
Insurance. Because I don't know. Because
hey, I think I pay like $11 a month for like $25,000 of life insurance.
Yeah.
So, what's $11?
What's your life? Put a value on your life.
Yeah. What's $11 when it comes to
You spend $10 on biscuits.
$10,000 or $15,000 funeral bill.
All right.
So go check him out. But Bill Rice was a guy that he was in Marion County, and he'd come up and he could flat out cut tobacco. He would fly. He would go down, at the beginning of the row, and you wouldn't see him until he popped up the other end.
This will make my back hurt. Just think about it.
Well, you had to be in shape. You had to be good at it.
Really?
You had to. I mean, that's me. I have a bad back. I ain't no way in the world I could do it now. I'd make it 10 feet and have to stand up. And if you ever stand up, then it makes it worse. If you stay down, you're not going to hurt as much.
So these people who are shorter, like your dad and.
Yeah, shorter the better.
All right. Okay. So that's why little kids were great.
Yeah, if they knew what they were doing.
All right. Give Luke a tobacco knife.
Give him a knife. That'd be a good idea. He was playing in the sink the other day, and I turned around and looked, and he had a knife in one hand, a cup in the other, and he was trying to cut it. And I thought, oh, no, we don't need that.
Right.
So, I mean,
Let me ask you
I
this.
rolled through that faster than I thought it would.
No, we're good. We're at 40 minutes.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, how these barns and stuff, it gets so hot. I mean, would the likelihood of them just catch on fire?
Never heard of one catching on fire. Of course, in order
people
to
get
fire,
mad?
you got to have.
Would people get mad and go set your barn on fire?
Well, I mean, maybe. I never heard of anybody doing it. I've heard of hay barn catching on fire more so, but a tobacco barn's.
It's all.
I don't know. You got more open, more ventilation, maybe. I've never heard of a tobacco barn with tobacco in it catching on fire.
I don't know.
Todd had a hay barn down here years ago catch on fire. A lot of times with hay barn, you'd stack square bales in there, and the trouble with your hay is you put it in there green. Like you see people roll hay out here in the field, they leave it set a day or two.
Okay.
Kind of let it air out a little bit, let some of the moisture get out of it, and then put it in the barn. That way it's not as green, and green, heats up. It can still, if you're not careful, it can still catch on fire.
I didn't know that was like a thing.
What?
The hay could explode on you.
Well, not explode. It just catches on fire.
Gotcha.
Just heat. Just what's that word?
Self-combustion.
And that spontaneous combustion.
Spontaneous.
That's probably not right either, but
Let us know.
the process isn't right. But you get,
Right.
you take all that green.
Okay.
Well, you take, like, you go out here and mow your yard, and you take that green grass clippings and you just put them in a pile, and you stick your hand in there, and it's a little warm.
Yeah.
Or a pile of wood chips or a pile of sawdust.
Yeah.
It creates heat. You take a bale of hay that everything's constricted and tight and rolled tight and packed together, there's going to be heat built up inside, and enough heat with not enough airflow.
Right.
You're gonna have smoke started.
You're such a scientist.
I am. I really know things.
So-
I know things.
So once we hang it, how long's the process of
What we thinking?
the tobacco? It's
I don't remember. It's been
dry.
15 years since I hung the back.
Okay.
See, this is where I need to get my dad on here.
Yeah.
And we just need to poll him with some questions.
Well, he's probably on his way home from work, right?
He is. No, maybe not. But I don't know. Seemed like we'd hang it in
So what's
August, September, and then by October, November, you're starting to drop it down. So a couple months, it's got to hang there.
So that flour you pulled, is that what you use for next year?
No, no. You just break it off, throw it on the ground, it dies.
Gotcha.
We need to find.
A YouTube video?
No, we need to find a tobacco patch.
There's one down
here.
your street from the church.
Yep.
I don't know who does it.
Joe Cox, probably. I'll go find Joe, and I'll tell him that
We're going to
you
videotape this.
are interested in learning about Kentucky's roots.
All right.
And, speaking of that, it's in the car. Alicia bought me. She seen this thing. She bought it for me, not for you. She was in a store, and it was this, how people buy them, they got them little woodworking.
Yeah.
Imagine a plasma cutter on wood.
Yeah.
They little sayings and whatnot, little decorations.
She
just
put
sit
Root
on
and
your shelf.
Liberty.
It says, no, she found it in the store. It says, stay rooted.
Oh.
And I left it in the car. Sorry.
In the van?
I was going to put it up right here.
In the van?
Yeah, it's in the van. That's the only car we got. It's a van.
I don't know if it was in your truck.
That's not a car.
It's a truck.
That's a truck.
A van's not a car either.
It's more car than it is a truck. Hey, what's our last sponsor?
The Buck.
Let's hear about the Buck.
The Buck. If you love classic country music and want to stay connected to your hometown, then WKDO 98.7 is where you need to be. Start your mornings off with Jerry on the Buck Morning Show, weekdays from 6 to 10, bringing you the best country tunes, local news, plenty of laughs to get your day started right, and also from 9 o'clock to about 10 o'clock, it's the world-famous Buck Shop. Buy, trade, and sell, and all that funness there. You can find that he's been posting the Buck Shop on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Go find that and go back and listen to that. Cruise your afternoon with Crystal on the Afternoon Drive Show from 1 to 6. Keeping you entertained with classic country hits and the latest weather updates. And when the sun goes down, Jeff is here with your classic country nights. Tune in from 6 to 10 for the legends of country music, playing all the songs you know and love. No matter when you listen, WKDO 98.7 is your go-to for the music you love and the local updates you need. Listen live anytime at chasingthebuck.com and keep it locked in on WKDO 98.7.
Why would you look at me when you did that?
I don't know. Where should I look at the camera?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, Jerry. But
that was dramatic.
WKDO. I'm working on that.
Work on that. Yeah.
How would you do that?
I wouldn't.
Oh,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't even try it. What about your girl voice? Have you worked on that?
no.
I haven't either.
Oh,
I haven't either.
yeah. Oh, Nick.
I saw him this morning, Nicholas. Yeah. He said, "Now you ain't gonna be the third person to start calling me that." I said, "I'm gonna call you whatever I want to call you."
Nicholas,
Nicodemus.
all right, Nikolai. I saw him like the next day at the 49er. Him and his wife and his kiddos. Yep.
Yeah, I like him. I saw him this morning. He was wearing a suit.
A suit.
Yep. He'd been to, that's what I asked him. I said, well, either somebody died or you got promoted.
All right.
But he had went to something at the St. Bernard Catholic Church there. I can't remember what it was now.
Oh.
Anyways, that's where he was at.
Yep. People like I need to upload a couple more, but I've been uploading the stories from last week on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I've
know.
been trying, and it logged me out, and I don't know how to get back into it.
The TikTok?
No, into the Opulus clip or whatever it is. Opus clip.
Oculus.
Whatever.
We'll get that.
I can't get back into it.
We'll get you back in.
So I can do that.
Yep.
Hey, real quick, since we're just spotlighting our sponsors, ingredients. Everybody, listen, the other day I went down here at Merrimack to a little Fairview country store, a little Amish store, and I buy my chainsaw chains there and whatnot.
Yes, that's where you got that candy.
Did I buy candy there?
Last time I was there.
In Buckeyes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the other day they had cookies.
Cookies.
Chocolate chip, peanut butter, they had different kind of cookies. Now, it's kind of expensive. I mean, I paid $3 for 6 cookies.
You get what you pay for, though.
But the ingredients, I knew what every one of them was. There was no dextro, mono, carbohydrate, stuff you couldn't understand. It was all...
Dye this and dye that. And
so it's just like this right here. Vintage honey, lemonade ingredients, purified spring water, lemon juice, sugar, peach flavor, pure cane sugar, water, citric acid, natural peach flavor, fruit juice, color. I mean,
right.
I can read every bit of it. I can't tell you what it all is,
right.
but it's a lot better than what you're gonna find at the store that's processed.
Yeah, go get you got a bottle over there. Read that.
Bottle of what?
Whatever pop or something you got over there beside you.
Well, I can't reach it. It's hard to reach. But yeah, you can't read all that stuff. You don't know what all that stuff is. But here, I mean, she's not trying to poison you.
No, she don't have the right.
Go check
battery acid.
Go check her out. She'll just make you sweet tooth tingle.
Yep.
Well, that's about all I've got. It may not be that.
You're going to talk about your grandpa.
Well, I kind of did at the beginning.
Well, okay. I know, but I thought it was more him falling off.
Well, I don't know that the whole story as far as him falling out of a tree. I know he was on a golf course.
Okay.
He was about 20 feet up in a tree, and when you climb a tree, sometimes guys don't take 2 lines up. You just climb with 1 line, which is fine, but it's not that safe because you don't have a safety or backup. Well, my grandpa was going to move, instead of climbing down the tree to go over and climb up the next tree, he was just going to swing from this tree to that tree, which
Tarzan,
not no big deal. It probably wasn't that far away. And so he was tied into this tree, and he threw his rope over, and he got tied into that tree. And when he unclipped this to swing over, that one broke out. The top broke out, and he fell backwards and landed on his back. Like I said, 20 feet ain't that far, but it can kill you. It messed him up pretty bad. I don't remember as far as his paralysis
or was this after getting run over?
No, this would have been before. So this was what ended his career at Asplin.
Oh, okay. Have you had any? I know you ain't fell, knock on wood, but what's the closest you come? Felt like you were gonna
Die.
gaff out of a tree.
I have gaffed out, not fell. I didn't fall very far. I mean, when you're up in a tree and you gaff out 6 inches, a 6-inch fall will cause a mini heart attack.
Yeah.
Because your life flashes quick. You just know you're dead. I fell the other day, not climbing. I was on the ground and got tripped up, cutting some limbs, and fell backwards and just tossed a saw,
Yeah.
But it could have got hurt. I got a big old bruise right here on my leg right now from, I'd show you, but I'd have to take my pants off.
No,
Right here from chipping, I had a piece of wood hit me in the leg.
yeah. You ain't careful that you're a wild man with that chipper.
Yeah, finally got it fixed, I think.
Yeah.
But I've not ever, knock on wood, I've not ever failed.
All right. Well, I think you're pretty cautious, though.
I try. Yeah, I'm like some people said, well, okay, can you climb a tree? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can climb it, but I'm slow. I'm slow and productive. I'm not fast and
All right. I think it's when you get comfortable is where you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, when you lose the fear or the caution.
Yeah, when you get content,
then some bad things can happen.
Yeah. We could roll that on with a religious twist there,
Go for it.
like our
Preacher man.
our Christianity. When we get comfort and we not comfort, but we get comfortable in our Christianity about going to church and stuff like that, it's easy to just get content and sit there.
Yeah.
And that's when trouble happens, and that's when we fall into sin, and that's when our life goes crazy, is when we forget that fear of fearing God. I went to a preacher's meeting this weekend, and some of these guys, they're been preaching for 50 some years, and they said they still get nervous.
That's crazy.
And they said if you ever get to the point where you're not nervous no more, you should just quit.
Yeah.
So, but that nervousness isn't that you're a scaredy cat. It's that you respect that tree and nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to be respectful. You never know what might happen. There's always a possibility of something could happen, and you want to try to plan for that. But if it's your time, ain't no planning around it.
Right.
You going.
Like a guy said when he was scared of riding an airplane. He said, I'm not worried about my time, but I'm worried about when it's the pilot's time to go.
Yeah, I know it. Wow, I don't know about all these planes crashing. I don't know if I'm going to get on a plane come June.
Right. And this summer we may take a week or two off, so don't get mad. We're not quitting. But we got to have a little break here.
Yeah, we got lives.
We got to create some more stories.
Yeah, we got to go out and do something stupid.
Right.
Give us a minute.
Yeah.
We ought to have an episode of sticking your foot in your mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I've got several instances where I said things or done things that I shouldn't have done that didn't really work out for the best for me, but nothing horrible either. I'd have to write them down, though, because I can only think of one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get out of here. We got things to do.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, we got all our sponsors in.
We would say our do a little 60-second word game, but you're no good at it.
I'm no good. No, sorry.
Yeah. Lots of luck to you and yours.
Right.
Turn on the radio, buy you some cookies and a lemonade, and what's the other one?
Go get you some insurance.
Yeah, insurance and
Right.
detail your car.
And detail your car.
You could make it all a one-day thing. You could start out that morning.
All right. Start out there on Houston View Street, right?
Well, I'm just saying you could make a day of it. You could order you some cookies, right?
Okay.
On your way to town. You go get them cookies, you eat them in the car, and just make a mess. Right? And then on your way into town, you're going to Shelter to get you some new insurance, get you a new quote.
All right.
And you're going to have Brent detail your car while you're in there. But you want to swing by the
Save a lot.
Get you some juice here, some lemonade on your way. Spill some of that in the car while you're at it.
It has to be extra sticky.
Yeah, and then I put it on over the dash, And then while you're driving around doing all this, you be listening to WKDO.
Yeah.
I think that covers everybody, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just make a day of it.
Make a day.
We should do that and video it.
Yeah. A day in the life in Josh Edwards.
Yeah. Some days is not that productive. Like
All right.
today wasn't very productive, but tomorrow will be.
All right. Tell them where they can find your Edwards trees.
Edwards Tree. It's Edwards Tree.
That's what I said.
You said trees.
Tree.
Edwards Tree.
It's me.
It's me. It's Edwards Tree. LLC.
With a t-shirt.
606-706-7256.
All right.
Facebook, TikTok. That's about it.
Yeah. If you're bored, just call them.
Call me. We'll talk. I gotta go look at 2 jobs here in a minute, and one's in town, one ain't.
Busy time though. Springtime.
It's picking up. Business is picking up just because it's, I guess, tax time. People are getting some money they're ready to spend, and
We've had a lot of storms and damage and wind.
people are worried about trees. And
I saw a comment the other day. I guess you posted one of your videos that you just dropped. There was a tree that was already damaged or something from the store. People were like, "Why didn't you? You should call Micah Peavy. He'd take care of it for you." Do you see that comment?
yeah,
Made me laugh. Oh, Micah.
we'll have to get him back on here.
Yeah, Shazam.
Shazam. Shamalama ding dong. He don't say that. I used to say that, but
What's that from?
well, I actually created that myself.
Okay.
Shamalama ding dong. I would say that all the time. People got to where they hated hearing it. And I ended up Googling it one time.
It's me.
And it don't mean anything. I just come up with it. Like I would just say it. Like how Micah or Gomer on Andy Griffin, he said, Shazam. I would say, or Shamalama ding dong. Just whatever. It was just funny.
You know how to spell it?
Yeah.
Get your shirt made.
Yeah. Shamalama ding dong.
All right.
Well, anyways, apparently it's a song.
Okay.
Look it up on YouTube. There's an older black guy singing this song, and he's talking. Apparently, that's a name that you might call your woman.
Okay.
You're my shamalama. You're my shamalama ding dong. Check it out. I don't know. It was kind of a romantic song.
Yeah. I'll have to find it. Kind of added on.
That's mine, Ashley's song.
There you go.
Yeah.
First dance. That's been funny. All right.
Well, y'all have a good evening.
Y'all take care.
Love you. Bye.